Hello and welcome back to the Guns on Pegs podcast. It's episode 6. Thanks again for joining us. And before we go any further, I need to say a special thank you to Robert Plosky, who emailed in with a very good tip for getting rid of the geese that I mentioned in the last episode. I'm pleased to say that it worked and I'm actually getting some sleep now. We felt bad about not having a special guest last time, so we've lined up something a bit special for you for this episode. You'll find out about that in a second, but first here's a little clue for you. I have 0 caps for England. I'm just going to leave that there for you to ponder. Chris, how many caps have you got?
Yeah, I've also got none, obviously.
Frank, any caps?
No, I've also never been an editor of a magazine either, or the brand director for one of the best clothing companies in the shooting world.
Chris, you better tell us about one of our guests.
I'll go for the brand director. So delighted to welcome a really good friend of ours for a long time in our world, Marcus Janssen. Marcus is head of country brands at a company called Bradshaw Taylor, who you may not be familiar with, but they represent 2 of the most famous brands in the shooting world, Schoffel and Le Chameau. So in charge of quite an interesting project, Marcus.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, good to be talking to you all.
And Frank, do you want to tell us about our second guest?
Our other guest is compared to the 3 of us at Guns on Pegs, a sporting superstar, and has 173 caps for Leicester Tigers, 40 caps for England, and 5 British Lion caps. Is that right?
I think that's right, yeah. Spot on. Nailed it. No, thanks for having us. Thanks for giving me another excuse to hide from my kids past the end of work. So I'm actually very grateful to be here.
Tom Croft, the England and Lions legend, and friend of Guns on Pegs.
Not sure about legend, but
No, I know.
all-round good guy.
Yeah. All right bloke that we loved having a pint with.
So did you guys watch the World Cup final last year together?
We didn't actually. We didn't. I can't put up with Marcus's whiny South African tone at the best of times. So during the World Cup final, it was one. Obviously, a few of my mates were obviously playing over there, so I sort of was fairly tense. I had my youngest boy Hamish jumping on my head halfway through, wanting to play Lego. So having Marcus jumping on my head wanting to play Lego as well would have been a bit of a nightmare. So thankfully we were apart. I'm pretty sure I texted him a lot during the game and didn't get any replies after about 20 minutes, which filled me with great glee. I'm just a good sportsman, whereas others aren't.
Chris, I thought with Marcus here we weren't going to mention the World Cup final.
He would have mentioned it. Yeah, he would have.
I thought I'd get it out really early on so it doesn't have to be mentioned again.
It's generally his biggest topic of conversation because most things he talks about are fairly dull. So.
Did I hear somewhere that you guys were off to South Africa next summer for the Lions tour?
That is the plan, yeah. So we're hoping to actually host a group of guys on a Lions, rugby and bird shooting trip together. That is the plan. But obviously with coronavirus, the Lions tour is a little bit up in the air at the moment. So it's kind of thrown a spanner in the works with our plans. We have an awesome itinerary planned and we're hoping it can still go ahead. But at the moment, they haven't confirmed whether the tour is going to be delayed to later on in the year. Really hoping it isn't because it happens to fall at the very best time for rock pigeons in the Free State. So the plan was to go to the second test in Cape Town, to congregate in Cape Town, have a few beers, and then basically make our way to Johannesburg over the following week, obviously stopping off in a couple of areas to enjoy some shooting.
Wow.
So we keep our fingers crossed that we can still go ahead.
That sounds absolutely unreal. Very jealous. So yeah, just have to dream and assume that everything will go according to plan so that you can get excited about it.
I'm pretty sure we'll make something work, regardless of when it is. It'd just be great to catch the rock pigeons at that kind of peak time. And the best way to shoot them is flighting them in over sunflowers. In the Free State, in my opinion, it's just kind of prime time for that. So we just hope it doesn't get delayed too much.
Are you going to be doing anything else while you're out there?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the plan is to stop off with some very good friends of ours who actually will be hosting us in the Stormberg Mountains in the Eastern Cape, which is a phenomenal area for walked-up grey-winged Frankolin, which is arguably South Africa's closest thing to grouse in the way that they behave. You walk them up over pointers. They only live at a particular above a particular altitude, so it's quite hard going. You've got to be fairly fit to do them, but they fly phenomenally well. They're incredibly exciting. The lodge that we'll be staying at in the Eastern Cape is just amazing. The hospitality is just off the charts. And then in the evenings, you fly duck and teal into ponds on the tops of these mountains in the most spectacular setting. So it's that's the plan. Stop off in the Stormberg Mountains, do 2 days of growing and duck and teal flighting, and then make our way to the Free State for 2 to 3 days of flighted rock pigeon shooting, with the option to shoot some flighted geese in the mornings.
You can understand why I've chosen to do this trip with Marcus, because if I was asked the question, it would be, what's your plan? Well, we're going to watch some rugby, we're going to drink some beers, and then we might shoot some things that fly. My far more eloquent friend will obviously sell the tickets, and I'll just be there for cracks.
I'm so jealous, Marcus. I remember you showing me the photos of that when you went a couple of years back, and it does look absolutely incredible.
Were you subjected to the slideshow as well?
Yeah, it went on for hours, but no, some of them were pretty good. But are you still taking bookings for that, or are you guys?
Well, the thing is, we can't confirm bookings until we've got until we can actually guarantee that we can put the itinerary together. So we can't finalise the itinerary until we know the rugby date. So it's a little bit up in the air, but we've got a lot of people kind of teed up who are very keen to come along. I'm pretty confident that the places will go quite quickly once we've got it all finalised. I mean, it will be an epic trip. It's with the guys who are hosting us, Bird Hunters Africa, are absolutely brilliant at what they do, and they have access to literally the very best bird shooting in South Africa. So, the quality of sport is almost guaranteed. Obviously, it'll be quite disappointing for most of the guys who are going to be shooting with us are going to be English, and obviously the rugby side is going to be quite tough for them.
Listen to it. Not even going to have a response.
Tom, I have to confess, I'm not really a rugby expert. I didn't play very much as a kid. I was the wrong sort of build for it, and as a young boy, I was always stuck out on the wing, freezing my arse off, and then the only time the ball ever came to me is when everybody inside me had run out of options, and then I got sat on by a big guy. And I never really fell in love with it. I really enjoy watching it now, but have you got predictions? Are you brave enough to make predictions about that Lions tour?
It is a tough one. It's obviously I was very, very lucky to be down in South Africa in 2009 with the Lions then, and I played in Australia in 2013, and I did find South Africa a hostile place. It's tough, it's intimidating. The South Africans play one way, although to be fair, in the World Cup they did sort of show that expanse and that ability to play from everywhere. So you predict 2-1. It will go down to the final third test, and I do think that with a big English contingency who will be well aware of what the South Africans can do, mixed in with the Irish, the Welsh, and the token Scots that normally go to but they should have the better of them. To be fair, it was gutting for English boys not to win the World Cup, but it sets up the Lions to be an amazing trip. And I always said after 2009 that when they're back in South Africa, I'll go regardless of whether I'm a supporter, freeloader, or as I say, come along with Marcus, and we can run this trip and hopefully have some good times, and hopefully see some historic moments happen on the pitch.
And try not to fall out.
Now, chaps, obviously a big part of a rugby tour, if you're not playing, and something that maybe you'll be able to do a bit of this time round, Tom, is the drinking. So I think it's about time I asked each of you what that is that you're drinking. So, Tom, why don't you go first? Tell us what you've got.
Mine's a bit of not really, because it's got a memory. There's plenty of, I'd say there should be plenty of stories linked to drinking, but unfortunately they've sort of disappeared somewhere, normally around 11 o'clock of an evening. We can touch on drinking stories potentially later, but I'm actually drinking vodka and a mixer called Dash Water, which I came across this during lockdown. I was drinking way too much calorific drinks, and I saw Dash Water, which is just fizzy water it uses wonky fruit. I'm by no way affiliated to Dash Water, but it's just really tasty, 0 calorie. They use all the fruit that's been discarded by supermarkets because it's wonky, it's crushed, it's sort of overripe. Infuse it into fizzy water, and then I infuse it into vodka, and it makes an amazing drink. So I say we can talk about drinking stories if you'd like, but on a Friday afternoon when I'm sitting in what is probably seen as a greenhouse, sweating my tits off with my South African friends, it's actually quite a nice thing to drink.
I can vouch for that. I finished mine some time ago, but it was incredibly refreshing. I've now moved on to onto a cold beer, an icy cold beer, and I would have liked to have said it's South African, but unfortunately South Africa don't really make any decent beers. So the best thing that we have is actually brewed by our northwestern neighbours in Namibia, which is an old German colony, and as we know, the Germans know how to make beer. So the Namibians make a beer called Muntjac, which is pretty reasonable. It's pretty good, perfect on a hot day. It's probably the thing that I most associate with shooting, to be honest with you. You know, after days of rock pigeon shooting, a bit parched, a bit dry, as the sun's setting, ice cold Muntjac lager, which is really the drink kind of that we would have on safari. You'd either have a gin and tonic or you'd have an ice cold Muntjac at the end of the day. A perfect drink for these sweltering conditions we find ourselves in today.
Crofty, the dash water, I just Googled it. Looks amazing. Frank, what are you drinking?
I'm representing Suffolk once again with one of my favourite breweries, one of my favourite beers. It's Adnams Southwold Bitter, classic bitter. If I started on drinking stories on this beer, I'd bore everyone very, very quickly. I've probably got about 1,000 of them. It is just a classic beer of these parts, and I can't sort of recommend it highly enough, really. It's brewed in Southwold on the east coast, Suffolk. If anyone out there hasn't tried it, get on it. They make a range of epic beers, but this is the classic and probably the best of them all.
And Chris, what have you got?
A Corona beer. And the main reason for choosing Corona is I've bought loads of it because I feel really sorry for them. I think that there's huge connotations with the name because there's a lot of thickies in this world who might think that it's got something to do with coronavirus. So that got me Googling. And because I just wanted to see if my theory might be true and whether their sales had suffered. And I found a survey of beer drinking Americans that had been done recently. And it said that 38% of beer drinking Americans would not buy Corona under any circumstances due to coronavirus fears.
Extraordinary. Extraordinary. That's amazing.
And 16% of them were confused whether Corona was related to coronavirus. It's just quite unbelievable. The other reason for Corona and the real love of it came in 2006 at the Football World Cup in Germany. When Corona had a massive sponsorship thing on the go, and they had a bus that drove around all of the cities that England were playing in. And basically, people used to, when the promo girls were sort of off trying to give out these caps, which we knit loads of, when they were off giving out all the caps, we used to see if we could get around their back and get onto the bus and steal a whole load of Corona. And that was the Football World Cup of 2006.
Very good. Were you successful, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Loads of Corona, loads of caps, none of the girls.
Surprise, surprise.
Story of our lives.
George, what you on?
I was feeling a bit sorry for myself this week because this time of year is when I start getting really excited about my annual pilgrimage up to the Spey, and I had my first Father's Day as a father this year, and my twins gave me a bottle of Speyside whiskey, and I was going to drink that today, but I thought that whiskey in 27-degree heat or whatever it is wouldn't quite work. So I did a bit of Googling this morning, and I've made myself a whiskey cocktail, which I would never normally dream of doing. But it's, I say cocktail, it's basically whiskey and ginger ale and a bit of orange juice, and it's pretty good, actually. So I've made a jug of it.
There's going to be a lot of Scottish people out there very angry for you mixing a single malt.
And an Englishman mixing a single malt.
It's not a single malt. It's blended. It's Monkey Shoulder, which is a blend of 3 Speyside whiskies.
Just about
Mix away.
But yeah, you're right. Normally, I wouldn't dream of doing it, and I'd have found something else to drink. But like I say, I'm feeling sorry for the loss of my fishing trip.
Where were you due to go fishing, George?
Due to be going to Arndilly.
Imagine.
At least they haven't been catching anything there, George.
Oh, Frank. I can't even look at Fish Pal. It's too depressing. They had a 60 fish week last week or the week before. It just makes me feel ill.
How many rods, George?
It's a 7-rod beat.
60 fish. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's pretty tough. Pretty tough. I actually caught my first ever salmon on Upper Arndilly. I know it's not the same beat, but it's one beat up from Arndilly.
Yeah, it's just lovely around there.
Yeah, it's stunning fly water, isn't it?
So, Marcus,
Yo.
this week can't be too good for the old Schoffel coat sales.
No, mate. No, and Le Chameau wellies, to be absolutely honest with you. These are conditions that we really don't like at Schoffel. But actually, having said that, sales are all right. Surprisingly, seem to be okay at the moment on the website. But no, we always pray for as wet and cold weather as possible. So yeah, blazing sunshine and 34-degree heat or whatever it is, not ideal for selling fleece and shooting coat.
And so what's going on with the company at the moment? What stuff have you got which you haven't been able to really tell anyone about, or show anyone at least?
Well, it's it's been obviously a hugely disruptive year with coronavirus. It's been a tumultuous year, to be absolutely honest with you. I mean, we took over the ownership of Le Chameau at the end of last year, and we've been incredibly busy over the last 6 months, basically restructuring the entire company from top to bottom. We own outright the factory in Casablanca in Morocco, where the wellies have been produced or handmade since 1949. We closed the factory for 5 months to completely restructure it. We moved our headquarters from Old Bond Street in London to our headquarters in Oakham. We moved the warehousing and distribution of Le Chameau from a third-party warehouse in Northampton to our own warehouse in Grantham. We moved customer service from a third-party customer service centre into our own offices in Oakham. Top to bottom, root and branch, complete restructure of the company. So we've been incredibly busy. And then on top of that, obviously, the closure of the vast majority of our retailers for 3 months has meant that it has been a very challenging 6 months. But we've achieved a lot. We're well set up now to really take the brand forward and to get, retailers and end consumers really behind the brand again. It had been badly run, badly mismanaged in the past, but we're applying 27 years of running Schoffel country in the UK to the way that we want to run Le Chameau. And retailers, who obviously are such an important part of that, are really getting behind us. And it has all been received with great enthusiasm and optimism by our retailers who are excited to get behind what is, let's be honest, an awesome brand. And so, yeah, it's been, from a sales point of view, obviously the last 3 months, whilst our retailers have really struggled through this period, has been tough. There's no kind of beating around the bush, but we're optimistic. Things are improving. Non-essential retail opened a couple of weeks ago again. Our Scottish retailers open next week, which we're excited about. And bit by bit, the picture is looking more positive, and we're feeling more optimistic now that we're going to have an autumn-winter season. Whereas a couple of months ago, everything was up in the air. It was a huge amount of uncertainty.
I mean, you've got two awesome brands there that are probably responsible for the most cliched look in shooting. With
we like to think that the nicest looking shooting.
The Cirencester University uniform, but everyone wears it for a reason, because obviously it's quality stuff, and we're obviously massive fans here. I think certainly with the Chameau opportunity is a fascinating one, because you openly admit that the company maybe wasn't run as well as it could have been, but what a brand and what a product that's got, obviously with careful management, going to be really interesting.
Well, Chris, as a team, we couldn't be more excited when the announcement came. that we'd bought Le Chameau and taken over the running of it. I mean, I can't tell you how excited the team were. It was a kind of almost palpable that we'd taken on our favourite footwear brand, and it's Schoffel and Le Chameau kind of go together, foot in boot. They go together brilliantly, and it's an exciting. The future looks really exciting for us. We can't wait to get stuck in. We knew that there was a lot of work to be done, and we haven't been messing around for the last 6 months. We've been very, very busy. We're still in the thick of the restructure.
So, Crofty, do you end up with loads of free kit from Marcus then?
No, funnily enough, I don't actually. I'm still waiting. I do so much for him. As he said, like, obviously, the link between the two companies is brilliant. is obviously lucky that deal with Hunter fell through, mate. So but from sort of an outsider looking in, I'm fairly new into sort of the whole country field sports sort of industry, and Marcus obviously knows his stuff and is sort of ideally placed to take the two companies forward. He's thought of very highly by the owners, so I can't believe I'm being so nice to you.
I know, I'm amazed. I'm almost falling over my chair.
I'm on my third beer, so that's probably why. But no, so as I say, it's not ideal weather at the moment, but I'll look forward to my care package arriving when the weather turns, mate.
Tom, have you managed to get the rifle out at all over the last few months, or have you got anything planned for the...
Let's not talk about rifles. It's actually embarrassing. Sort of my whole shooting life started off when I was sort of 2021. Started off field deer stalking with a guy called Owen Beardsmore, who's from Service UK, and got addicted to the sport. Bought myself a rifle, bought myself a Salto 2, and loved it and went out a huge amount. And then the inevitable, well, I say inevitable, I'm very lucky to have got married. If I hadn't been a rugby player, I'd have been a virgin. So, then kids have come along, and sort of my opportunity to go and stalk seems to have diminished. But it's my boy's birthday tomorrow. He's turning 4, so I think we're sort of getting to a time in their life now where I can hopefully start getting out again. There's parcels of land around sort of Oxfordshire, Cotswolds, a few around sort of Northamptonshire, so hopefully myself and Marcus will be able to get out again. We're both sort of in the thick of children. Marcus probably more so than myself, with a young girl, Pip, who's amazing. I'm godfather for, can you believe it? What a terrible decision that was. But,
actually, do you know what, Frank, the last time that Tom and I went stalking together, which I think was probably the last time Tom went stalking, we were sat in a high seat together. I expertly called in a Muntjac when Tom was up first. Neither of us saw it. I then started to climb down the ladder to go and, I can't remember, relieve myself or something. And I chased a Muntjac that was literally directly below the high seat away. So the pair of us did well that day. Not a shot was fired.
It's about time to get it, though.
Crofty, you'll have to come down when Marcus visits.
I'm definitely keen. I need to get out and zero the rifle. It'd just be nice, honestly, to get some rounds off, and I just get back into it. It's like a lot of things at the moment. Sort of having left rugby, I sort of don't seem to train a huge amount much anymore. So just getting into a habit, getting the habit of going sort of training again, getting the habit of going stalking again, and obviously, fingers crossed, shooting season will be reasonably unaffected by the current events.
And Tom, assuming that your trip to South Africa goes ahead, how do you think you'll get on with the rock pigeons?
Oh, terribly, to be honest. If you were saying, was it like grouse, or was that more?
Yeah, they're a lot like grouse.
If it's anything like grouse, I will purely be there to top up drinks and just make up the numbers. But
the good
boost everyone's ego.
Well, the good thing with rock pigeons, I think everybody struggles with them to start off with, to be honest with you. Even people who can shoot rock pigeons, if you have a bit of a gap, and then they do take some getting used to. But the good thing about them is that you get lots and lots of opportunities, to kind of get your eye in. And work them out as such. So I'm sure by the end of the first morning, Tom, you'll have your eye in and be getting into, getting stuck into that.
I mean, for me, to be honest, it's as shooting has always been. It's always been, and same with my rugby. It's all about first. And I remember shooting my first pair of grouse. I think I missed about 20, 30 birds prior to that, and finally got 2. So to be honest, if I was over there and I shot 1, I'd be happy. That's what shooting is for me. It's about new experiences, it's about understanding, different cultures, different types of birds, how they fly, and it's just more about
good times with mates.
Good times with mates you've never met before, and Marcus. So, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be mates by the end of the trip. You know that.
Yeah, I think Tom, you sum it up really nicely in that people can get hung up, I suppose, on their performance, as it were, and being able to hit everything when everybody wants to do well, but ultimately that's not what it's all about, really. Is it?
Not at all. And obviously, my automatic sort of focus point to revert back to is rugby, and that was all about performance. And sort of towards the back end of my career, anxiety sort of started to creep in because you're always worried about performance. I obviously had a fairly checkered career in terms of injury, so you're worried about that. And it has taught me that when you get these new opportunities or you get a chance to go out shooting, is just to enjoy the day, the event, and picking up a couple of birds is brilliant. If I shot nothing, I'd be at death's door drinking myself silly. But as long as you catch a couple, a bit as is with rugby, I'd be happy. And
it's about making the most of it, isn't it? And just enjoying it.
Just different experiences. Yeah, exactly that.
Seeing as you're the first professional sportsman we've had on, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about any parallels between what you might term sport and hunting and shooting and fishing and so on. Tom, are there any parallels that you can see between them?
I spent the majority of my career standing on the wing waiting for the ball to come to me, much like yourself. And I suppose being on the end of a line, you're hoping for something might come your way. But
we were all expecting some sort of sage kind of like mystical, like, the discipline involved, it's all about hard work and perseverance. But no, that summed it up way better.
You've asked the wrong person right there. I suppose, for myself, I don't get to shoot a huge amount, especially when I was playing. You were lucky if you maybe got one day a year. In terms of even clay shooting, you struggle to get out. I think it's that desire to be good, and if you miss, so this contradicts what I said a minute ago, that is about being there, enjoying the day. If I'm in amongst friends who I know well, I become exceptionally competitive, and if I can shoot someone's bird, and this goes against everything which you guys talk about in terms of etiquette and all that, if I can shoot someone's bird 3 or 4 pegs down the line before they can get it, that is my day, and I'm jumping around for joy in a safe manner with a broken gun, obviously.
I know you're the same, Marcus, because I remember you and I on one of those simulated days at Royal Berkshire.
I remember it well. We shared a peg all day.
We did.
We basically shot none of our own clays. We were basically paying zero attention to the clays that were going over our head, and spent the entire day trying to shoot clays 1, 2, I think maybe even 3 pegs along.
I asked the question because I'd noticed there's a lot of professional cricketers, past and present, who are into fishing, and I wondered if there was anything that that the two sports had in common. And I made an analogy between bowling spin and trout fishing, in that they're both about deception. Marcus, you're a fisherman as well.
That's quite a nice analogy, although I'm not a cricketer. So cricket parlance is slightly lost on me, I've got to be honest with you. I'm a part-time cricket supporter, but no, rugby is very much the only sport that I don't take seriously from a supporter's point of view.
Because you won the World Cup. I love it. We worked the deck with South Africa in the cricket, and Marcus is a part-time supporter. They win the World Cup, and that's what he takes seriously. That's absolutely classic. Talking about fishing, Marcus, isn't there some exciting news on the way for one of your brands?
Yeah, well, this is a world exclusive that the Guns on Pegs podcast is about to get. Indeed, we are. Schoffel Country is launching a fly fishing range. After years and years of being asked to do it, we, over the last 2.5 years, have been developing a fly fishing range, which will be coming to, it has come to fruition, but will be in retailers from spring, summer 21. So it'll be in stores, people will be able to buy it and see it from January, February 2021. So we're a little way off. We've got the salesman samples in our showroom in Oakham, and we are exceptionally excited about it. And obviously, as a passionate fisherman, I've been quite involved in this whole project, and I'm very, very excited to get the product to market.
That is very exciting.
Its launch will probably coincide with the drought or something. There'll be some spanner in the work.
almost certainly. But no, we are very excited, and we think we're the first British company, although we're German owned, we're British based, and all of our product is designed and sold and marketed from our head offices in Oakham, to have really looked at the apparel market, the clothing market, the technical fly fishing market in that respect, and we are genuinely excited about the products that we bring to market to rival the big American companies that dominate the premium technical fly fishing end of the market. So it's a very, very exciting project that is, in its final stages now.
Well, I think on, as it were, that bombshell, I think it's probably time we all got off and enjoyed our Friday evenings. So, Tom, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you on the podcast. To everybody listening, do make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, join Guns on Pegs to find your shooting, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.